minute's walk from Cadogan Hall is one of London's principal theatre venues.
My name's Vicky Featherstone, I'm the Artistic Director of the Royal Court Theatre, and we're here in the basement of the Royal Court Theatre, actually under Sloane Square itself. The Royal Court Theatre was built in the late 1800s. It was at the end of the King's Road, where it is now. But the Royal Court Theatre, as we know it, started in 1956, when the first ever artistic director, George Devine, took over the building and decided that he wanted to find a whole new generation of playwrights to be telling stories about Britain and the rest of the world today. The Royal Court's called the Writers' Theatre because at its heart are the playwrights. The first play that was ever put on was a very famous play now called Look Back in Anger by John Osborne. And what we try to do is to find playwrights from all over Britain, but also the rest of the world, and to give them the platform to tell us stories about the world we live in, to entertain us, to shock us, to challenge us. So it's always as the playwright at the centre. We're very lucky at the Royal Court Theatre. We have a very beautiful and intimate stage, and we managed to entice extraordinary actors to work here. There are some other really well-known plays that started here that have kind of gone on to change our lives in different ways. Most famously, probably Rocky Horror picture show, which started in our tiny theatre upstairs as an experimental sort of night of musical. We have two theatres, one which is a smaller theatre upstairs, which seats 90 people. That often is quite site-specific. We turn the whole auditorium into a kind of space. It's less conventional. And then downstairs we have a very beautiful sort of chocolate box theatre, which seats 400 people. So we have a real range of work over the year that goes on. Saved by Edward Bond was a very famous play that was on here in the late 60s, and it was when there was still censorship, when the Lord Chamberlain still had to read every single play. It was as a result of plays at the Royal Court that censorship in Britain was changed, because the Royal Court made the statement to say we have to be allowed to put on stage what we want. So Saved is a very famous play about a group of young men in late 60s England who have no money and have no prospects. And it's about sort of poverty, but it caused a real shock. People wanted to close the theatre down. An important part of what we do is our education work. We have a lot of writers' groups. We invite people in to come and try out writing and to become playwrights. But we also work hugely in schools with young people. We have a youth theatre. We have a young court programme, we call it. And one of the most exciting things we do is we go into schools around London and work with 8-year-olds. They write plays, and then we produce those plays professionally and take them back into the schools. And the 8-year-olds see their work done by professional actors, which they love. Believing that if we can give them certain kinds of experiences, they can also change us. And as the Royal Court is always thinking about what are the stories of tomorrow, what are the new ways of telling theatre, it's really important that we have this kind of engine room of young people. So we have a youth board, we have a youth theatre, we bring in young writers between the ages of 16 and 24 to write plays for us. What's also important is that we have a strand of work called The Big Idea, because people kind of love, especially in London, people seem like they really enjoy coming to have extra talks and workshops. So around any show, we'll explore some of the themes and ideas of the show, and we get experts like neurologists or scientists or whoever to come and kind of expand on the ideas, and our audiences seem to love that. So you can come and see those free if you get a ticket for the show, or if you just like the idea of the talk itself, you can come and buy a ticket to see that. So we have a range of other activity going on throughout the year, and we have a bookshop that sells lots of all the plays you could possibly imagine, as well as books about theatre that you can't really get anywhere else. And it's wonderful if people come and actually buy the books from the bookshop itself, because of course all the profits go back into the arts, which means that I can commission more young writers to keep changing theatre. And the most important thing for me is that all of this work, the work on stage and the work outside the theatre, is as inclusive as possible so that everyone has access to it.